Okay. New setup, as you can clearly see. Could have had a more epic intro, but, you know, a bit casual with how I do things. So, I don't know if a lot of you guys knew this. I announced this in my Discord and my YouTube posts, but my streams are really just my videos, but it's all recorded at once. So, this is like a behind-the-scenes snapshot into my content, and yeah, I have to get used to this new setup. It's really weird, because I'm looking at a phone for a camera for the past 3 years, and now I have this weird-looking lens that I can't even see inside of it because there's a light behind it. That's, oh, look at that. So, like, autofocus is pretty cool. Anyways, I have a new phone with my toy, okay? I just got this. So, yeah. A few good topics I'm going into today. Like I said in my Discord post and my YouTube post, I want the streams and the Discord and these type of things to be eventually where I reveal more advanced information. Who knows, maybe clip channels, or maybe I'll make a separate channel for more advanced information, because you have to understand that YouTube is so simple that someone with more advanced information, it's more difficult for them to get by than someone who has good information, but it's simple, right? So, for these videos I'm recording right now, this is simple information. And I kind of project a little bit sometimes, so sometimes what I deem to be simple is advanced for other people. So just to give you a limit as to what the stream's going to be. I'm also just trying to talk a little bit, so you get a little bit of this. Every time I start talking, because it's different talking in VC, you kind of talking like this, and actually talking in the way you have to project into the mic and actually making content. You get just into it a little bit. The stream was almost screwed, but luckily I was able to get a power adapter for my camera because my batteries haven't come in yet. Coming later today. But in any case, let's begin. So, the way this is going to work is I'm going to go over a subject, I'm going to talk about it, and then in between these videos, like these videos I'm recording within the stream, I'll be answering questions, if any. And there's a lot of questions, and I'll be like, okay, you know what, you guys want more advanced information, you guys want specific help, okay, I'll do streams specifically dedicated to that instead of this show format. Okay. See which one I want to do first. Alright, let's do this one. This is why so many Christian men now are losers. And a lot of people will be very mad that I said that. They'll say, oh, how could you be so mean? How could you be so thoughtless? You know, how could you not have a heart? But it's true. Okay, and at this point, we kind of need people that are pushing against this super soy face, fat, you know, happy-go-lucky Christian man side. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with being happy. There's something wrong being fat. There's not necessarily anything wrong with being happy. But the point is that Christian men are exuding this kind of loser energy that is actually improper to Christianity, because a lot of them are using Christianity as a front for their own weaknesses. So, for example, they're not... Actually, wait, I forgot to record locally. Hold on. Okay. Usually, I don't need second takes. Okay, but I forgot to start recording. And I record locally and stream because sometimes my stream drops a little bit and I don't want that to be in the final video. So, you know. Ooh, very rare restart here. Alright. I'm going to write out a note here. Real behind the scenes stuff. Like, actually, I'm going to use this moment to tell you guys something. So, I'm assuming that you don't want to flip burgers your whole life, and there's something you want to do that involves skill. In order to do that, you have to get into the mindset first. And mine was kind of screwed because I was kind of stressing out a little bit over not being able to get this power adapter. Very fortunate that I was able to get it to where I didn't have to wait until like 9 for the batteries to come in. But you always have to remember that action comes from an inaction. So you just gotta like take a moment, take a breath, and set your mind on what you're looking for, and it'll come to you. You gotta let it soak in. And I guess I'll just talk about other things just to get in the groove a little bit. It's very interesting. I've always talked about how success is this thing where, you aren't successful overnight. It seems that someone gets 0 views to 1 million views overnight. That's what it seems like. But in reality, what success is essentially this constant build-up of win. It's like snowball. Win. And then those little wins that can only be perceived by the individual become the external win, like the views, the money, etc. For a very long time, and due to various reasons like being inconsistent, not having a good strategy, I'd say not having a good strategy is the main one, my YouTube channels did nothing. I know that you guys see this channel, and you'll see it only started a few months ago, but I've had other channels. My oldest channel was like 3 years ago, I think. 2022. And I uploaded like 3 or 4 videos a day. And that channel got to 32 subscribers in like 2 years. And now, I think I got on 32 subscribers today. I think right now I have like, 350? I think. Which is funny because, a week ago I had like 60. So, we're going up. Appreciate all of you, and gotta keep working, right? In this case, this is me getting in the groove here. Trying to record good videos, because remember, momentum is something very important, okay? Life naturally goes in these ebbs and flows, right? It goes up, has to come down, but during this down point, you're trying to ground yourself. And you're also trying to take advantage of that point. So, during these down points, you're just setting your mind on the goal, right? That's when you're trying to get the snowball going, right? Most people on this little dip quit, right? But if you don't quit, you could ride the wave back up. And when you have these waves up, it's like a steam engine, okay? You're trying to stoke the furnace, trying to keep the coal in there, trying to keep the fire so it can keep making steam and keep moving. If it's going like this, and then you stop feeding it coal, it's not making enough steam, it's going to start slowing down. Hopefully you can't hear my sister in the background. She's young and healthy. That's code word for screams a lot during my videos, and I don't think anyone really cares that much, but it's a bit annoying. In any case, so the important thing for success is ride these waves up. Okay, right now I'm on a wave up for the YouTube channel. Right? I gained like 60 or 70 subscribers yesterday. That's like as many subscribers as I had a week ago in one day. And that's after months of uploading and all this planning and thinking. So now I'm like, okay, I'm about to record this batch of videos. Now is the time for me to get at least 1 or 2 bangers. Okay, 1 or 2 videos that do really well and outperform the other ones. And if I do that, I keep riding the wave. But let's say I dud here. Okay, the wave is going to get a little weaker. Might not fully go down. Who knows? That video I made about why Christian women don't like Christian men might keep going forever. Who knows? Might get up to 1 million. I don't know that. Could go for another spike, right, like it did before, but not relying on that. I am looking at the moment I'm in. I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to blow. I'm going to go for it. And, this is my best effort in keeping up that momentum. Now, naturally, maybe it doesn't necessarily dip, but it kind of gets flat lines. And when you're flatlining, you're basically going down. Being flat and not making progress might as well just be going down, right? Because you don't get any younger, bro. So when you're going through this little dip, okay, it's when you ground yourselves, when you stay focused, and when you rack up those little wins, okay, for me, it's the uploads, it's the planning, the ideas. Even when things aren't necessarily going up a lot, that leads to another wave. So it's kind of like success is not like this, okay? It's like boo, zoo, 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 like that. And every single wave up, the better you do, the more you stoke it, the bigger it gets. So I see some people, in my case, with my first business, partially because of the business model and the target audience, but for a few other reasons as well, I went from 0 to 4K in 1 month, okay? And that is like this type of wave. But some people are able to ride this wave up to like 1 million, and then they're set for life. So it's very important you're aware of these type of things, because it's what allows you to actually achieve things. There you go. I got some explaining, warming up a little bit. You know, always also remember this when you're working, right? Don't be afraid of it being trash at the start, right? Like when I started YouTube, I was trash, and beyond that, when you're doing something, let's say you have a project to do, right? You're trying to make a product. Bleh, mouth's getting stuck. Let's say you have a project for yourself, right? If it sucks at the start, just keep going, okay? A lot of people, they see it suck and then they just give up. Don't do that. Just keep going, and then from this chaos will come some form of order, because you'll refine it. Because the start's kind of like you're just unconscious, subconscious, kind of just spitting everything out, and then the conscious mind can start analyzing things, improve this, improve that. This goes with this, and then it becomes something worth looking at, something worth listening to, depending on what it is. So in any case, this is why so many men are losers. No, not men, Christian men. Make better hook. This is why so many Christian men are losers. Now, a lot of people will say that's such a heartless thing to say. That is not Christ-like. You cannot say that. But, well, first of all, it has nothing to do with Christ-like. And second of all, I don't care. Okay, we need someone that will embody the other side, alright? We've had too many churches, too many people talking about this nice guy form of Christianity that is not biblical, and it's also making people see Christians as losers, thus averting them away from Christianity. And this is why I call the idea losers. Right, and I talk about an idea because I wouldn't call a specific person a loser most of the time, but I'm certainly going to talk to a group or an idea as losers, right? And the problem with these Christian men is they're trying to use their personal ineptitude, okay, their problems, their weaknesses, and they kind of shield it with Christianity. So for instance, let's say someone is not confrontational, okay, they're kind of weak in spirit, and they're kind of like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to say anything bad, okay, in other words, they're a pussy, okay, let's just be honest. And what they'll do is, instead of admitting that and then trying to transform and change, as Christianity would have them do, because you have to be strong in spirit, they just soy face, go like, well, you know, I'm a Christian, so, you know, we're told to be nice. We're not supposed to do anything, you know, like, mean ever. It's not like Jesus, you know, called people, you know, children of Satan. It's not like, you know, Jesus ever, you know, whipped people. I mean, that never happened, right? And this is the problem with that. Okay, there's two problems. One, it's unbiblical. That's the first and foremost problem. Christian men are called to be strong. Christian men are called to be masculine. And I'll even go a step further. The Bible gives a chauvinistic account of men and women. And that sounds like a very controversial thing to say, because chauvinism is basically equated with a misogyny. I'm not a misogynist. I don't hate women. But let's just be honest. What does the Bible say about men and women in creation? God was looking for servants of Adam, or helpers of Adam, to use a nicer word there. I think it does say helpers. Helpers for Adam. And then God created woman. Woman was created for man, as Paul said. And not give woman authority to teach a man within the context of a church because of the fall. The woman transgressed. Why did the serpent pick Eve? Have all these things go through your head. The woman is told to submit to God, submit to her husband as God, in both Peter and in Paul's church letters. That's what the Bible says. The Bible, and one other one, when Paul speaks about being strong in faith, he doesn't say, well, just be like kind of nice, be kind of strong, you know, kind of just do that. No, Paul says, no, be strong like men. Like men. Men are supposed to be strong, right? And sometimes this strong brooding, you might call it, will result in them being a little bit mean. Now here's the thing. There's nothing wrong inherently with being mean, right? There's a problem with being mean out of spite, out of a mean spirit, anger, because, I mean, we can name plenty of instances where Jesus was mean, and we can also name plenty of instances of Jesus being nice. So what does that mean? You don't come away with this Christian concept of, well, this modern Christian concept of, well, just be a nice guy, just have a smile all the time. Oh, don't work out, because that's like hedonistic and wrong. And we're also pacifist. I mean, if you play a video game and like you punch someone, I mean, that's as bad as punching someone in real life. Like, they're just so, there's no masculine energy at all. It's like the church feminizes them completely. The women are more masculine than the men in the Christian churches now, which is just sad. I mean, that's just a disaster. Because now the gender roles are being reversed, right? Because now you got all these female pastors, now you got all these women instructing men on how to be men. Doesn't work. And it happened not because women are these inherently evil creatures who are plotting and scheming on the downfall of men because they're secretly feminists. Although many of them do have feminist tendencies, the reason why is because, I mean, what Christian men are there to go like, oh, he's a man, I'm going to submit to him, That's a subconscious process. Mostly don't actually say that in their mind, but they act it out, right? And this relates to not only attitude, but also appearance. I'm going to talk more about this later in the stream, but, it's not good to look like a loser either. Like, if you're fat, that's a problem, okay? It's like, some of them about fitness, they're like, well, I'm a Christian, it doesn't really matter that much, because, I'm with God, I'm going to go to heaven, I'm just worried on focus on God. Hey, bro, I don't know if you forgot this, but you're a human being, and the Bible talks about what you should do on earth, okay? And one of those things is take care of your temple. If you are fat, that is a problem. If you are weak, that is a problem. If you are ugly, because being ugly has a lot to do with how you take care of yourself. Some of it's genetic, like if you got born with half a skull, and your face is like, or you got born, kind of, special, and you're like, then okay. All right. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people that, don't take care of themselves and they just have issues that they could easily fix if they just, took a little effort. That is a problem. Okay? You need to stop being so nice. And you might say I'm a little bit mean. Okay. I never said I'm the nicest guy ever. Maybe I am a little bit mean. But what I do know is we need more of this energy in Christian spaces. I have no issue with these other Christian YouTubers. I think a lot of them are in the good... You're supposed to judge other people in spirit, not in their actions or project anger onto them. So, these other people that are talking about, nice guy Christianity, I'm not talking about them in a very spiteful, negative way. Because ultimately, a lot of them have the heart in the right place. They're trying to do the right thing. So, I'm not saying kick them out. What I'm saying is, we need more of this energy, okay? We need more people affirming this type of message, and as far as I can tell, we have no big figures that are doing that for us on a large scale, kind of this brooding way, like I don't want to use the word bad boy, but I think you get what I mean. I'm trying to say that. Need a bit more of that energy, and I guess that's what I'm doing. So, yeah. Stop being a loser. Okay. Let's, I don't know. I feel like I was a little different from other ones. I'm in a different mood today. This is kind of how I used to talk. I feel like for the past month or two, I've been talking a bit more of a formal way. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, second one. So now, I'm moving a little faster because I have momentum. Alright, this is how you work. First, you gotta take this train moving, then once you got the train moving, just go. If I wasn't trying to stream and explain things, I would have just went. But, trying to make this valuable and insightful. Okay, next. Your whole life, you've always been told, Christianity teaches Man, why am I getting stuck on my words? I haven't gotten stuck on my words in the past few days. I've been doing a lot of training on that. Okay. You've been told... Wow. Yeah. You've been told all your life, turn the other cheek. That's what Jesus did. That's what Christianity teaches. But truthfully, this concept of turning the other cheek is not taught in the Bible at all. And a lot of people end up getting the wrong idea of Christianity because of it. So first, let's take the nerdy, exegesis angle, okay? And that angle basically entails that it's not actually a literal slap in the cheek. It's a metaphor for Wow, what is going on today? Never gotten stuck on my words on my phone. Okay. It's a good exercise here. Peter Piper picked up pickle poppers, pick up pickle poppers, Peter Piper picked up Peter Piper picked up pickle poppers, pick up pickle poppers, Peter Piper pick. Better butter, bottom butter, but she said the butter's better to make my batter, better, butter, make my batter better. So twas better, butter. Okay. Okay. You've been told all your life that Christianity teaches you to turn the other cheek. Someone hits you, someone tries doing something to you, just turn the other cheek. Don't do anything back. But truthfully, this is completely wrong. Christianity does not teach this concept. And the first angle we'll take to get out of the way is the nerdy angle, the actual exegesis angle, right? What does it actually mean when the Bible uses the term turn the other cheek? Much like a bunch of other of Jesus' sayings, this saying is a metaphor. In some ways, it's a quote-unquote parable. And it refers to the idea of an insult, right? And it also refers to the idea of not returning with another insult out of spite, okay? Out of vengeance, out of a mean spirit, so on and so forth. So, okay, nerd angle all the way. What's actually important? There's a deeper principle here that is really hurting Christianity right now. And that is this idea that Christians have to be nice instead of doing what's right, okay? So I remember one time, someone I was working with said, well, I know the Bible says turn the other cheek, but if someone was, raping my daughter or raping my wife, I would jump in, I would go against that teaching because, how could I just not? And I kind of just sat there this is what the new generation, this is what modern Christianity has done to people. It makes them think that saying something like that is actually against doctrines of Christianity. And just quickly, for anyone that's like, oh my god, you're so bad for saying that. Jesus whipped people. Go read the Gospel of John. Okay, so, clearly that's a physical act of inflicting some kind of pain onto other people. So, and the Bible also talks about disciplining, so the whole concept of, the Bible says be completely pacifist and never do this ever under any circumstances retarded, okay? There's no precedent for that at all. It's just when you clip this one verse and you say that's the whole entire Bible is when you get that interpretation. So in any case, what does this mean what does the actual meaning of this verse mean for you and me? What it means for you and me is, if you're going to do an action, forget just the action of when someone does something bad to you. Let's make this widen the scope. What you're actually looking for? What you're looking for is to do the right thing. Okay? So, for instance, Jesus whipped people, but Jesus told Peter to take away the sword when he sliced the soldier's ear, right? Why? It seems like, okay, well, one's kind of violent and the other one's violent, but he says one's wrong and one's right. It's because our own intuition as humans gives us the answer that's so obvious. Sometimes there's such thing as self-defense, and sometimes when using force is wrong. So, for instance, why did Jesus not fight back? Why did Jesus turn the other cheek in these instances where he was getting beat? It's because it would save humanity. That's prophesied in Genesis when we talked about the heel striking the serpent. That's talked about in Isaiah about the suffering servant. That's the point of Jesus coming. Right? So if Jesus were to prohibit that by using his power to, smite them all, for example, that would be an incorrect usage of power because it's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to allow this to happen to himself. So in your case, is it the right thing to do to prevent someone from hurting another individual? It is the right thing to do. Is it the right thing to do to punch someone because you're a bit angry at them? No. That seems very obvious, but that is the principle. That is the principle that Christianity teaches. All right? So, and also when it talks about, those who live by the sword will die by the sword, you aren't supposed to live by violence. I want to say this in good taste. I was never that huge of a fan of Charlie Kirk. I thought he was a nice guy, trying to do a good thing, pro-life debates. I thought his philosophical ability was, And I'm being nice for obvious reasons. The Israel thing kind of also wasn't the most ideal. But one thing he did say that I saw someone else say that he said was, the sign of a developed society is when people can have disagreements without getting into fights. And there's also someone I've worked with in the past, and will I keep working with him? Who knows? Who, when he would get intellectually outmaneuvered, when he would get rhetorically destroyed, whichever terms you want to use, he was there saying, well, but I would beat you up, bro. And that is very true. Okay, living by the sword, living this idea of violence is not good for an individual. Okay? If you're the type of person, I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to beat anyone up. I mean, you should be able to, but you shouldn't resort to that reverse thing. Okay, we aren't animals. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying be a violent person. What I'm saying is do the right thing. Alright, you're not an animal. You have a soul, you have a spirit. Just because you get the urge to hit someone doesn't mean you should hit them. Is it the right thing to do? Is it self-defense? Is it protecting someone? The type of question you should be asking yourself. So no, Christianity does not teach to turn the cheek. It teaches quite the opposite, depending on the context. Okay. Let's move to the next one. Oh no, I always feel like this, but I feel like I'm... I always say this, but I feel like I'm out of it. In any case, let's keep going. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So, I made a video not too long ago about why Christian women don't like Christian men. And a lot of the comments were positive, you know, it was a very well-received video, but a lot of people were talking about their struggles with women. One comment that stood out to me especially was talking about how they feel like women want something that's in secular men, not in Christian men. And even there were some comments talking about how women at a church were saying, well, you know, I wish, you know, there was like a retired thug who became a Christian. And this talks very strongly to why Christian men aren't attracted to women, which we'll talk more about on a separate clip of the stream. But I want to talk more specifically about the Christian man's struggle with women, because it seems to be very central. Okay, it seems like a lot of Christian men are struggling with women, both in attracting them and also this seeming, you know, widespread feminism, this widespread, you know, loss of virginity and whores, let's be honest. So, let me first say this. This is gonna blow your mind. You're gonna be like, what? Everyone says, I'm struggling with women. You know, this woman here is not good, this woman here is not good, and when I do see a good woman, I can't make it happen. But that's not true. Okay, this is not the actual problem. The actual problem is the internal struggle. Okay, I don't want to get too advanced in this video because, to be honest, I'm making YouTube videos. Okay, this is not a high-level stream. This is not a high-level Discord post that I make in my Discord. I want to make this very simplified. So, basically, you have a masculine and feminine image within yourself. Okay? And these images facilitate certain actions within yourself. So, for instance, the masculine image will enforce, you know, the force, the discipline, the focus, the thinking, the logic. While the feminine traits will do the nurturing, the intuition, the feeling, these type of things. And when you go through life, especially with the life we have now, especially if you go through, let's say, a divorce, let's say your mother had, you had issues with your mother, you will start to disown and repress these more feminine traits. So, for instance, I'm going to give you one example that's a perfect way of thinking about this. So, first of all, if you're thinking about women all the time and how you're struggling, you have this problem. So it basically applies to everyone who's watching this video that's affected. And you can also think of it like, think of that time when you saw a girl that was really, really pretty, maybe when you were young, maybe when you're older, could be even now. Think of when you saw a really pretty girl, and you were just like, oh my god, I want to have my kids with her, she's so nice, she's so sweet, but you don't even know her. For all you know, she could be, you know, on the bang bus. Whew, man. Usually you have to make these gooning references to make things funny, but that one, man. I was really degenerate, bro. I might make a video about porn in the future, but I used to be bad with that. S-tier gooner, okay? Marge Simpson, Gumball's mom, everyone. Okay, anyways, aside from the subject. So, the point is that that's projection, right? You have these disowned traits within you, so then you try to look for it in other people, and because this woman kind of fits some things you're looking for, you're like, okay, they have it all. But obviously they're not a human being. That's a wrong way to think of people. But because you're in this state of rejecting your own feminine traits, that is what happened. That's what's happening, right? So what you need to do is you need to integrate these traits within yourself before you can go to women, so you can be whole, right? And this is not about painting your nails. This is not about, oh my god. It's not about that either. Okay, what it's about is channeling this love, okay? Because love is more on the feminine side. When you think of, oh, I want to be loved, you don't think of a man, you think of a woman. Unless you putt from the rough. In which case, I think you should be watching some videos, maybe, let's get me banned, maybe a little, this is, someone would say this and it's completely wrong, therapy. No, that's like, I disavow, that is such a bad thing to say. In any case, yeah, so, there's like love there, there's nurturing, there's that intuition, there's a creativity, and it's really the genius element, because think of a genius, okay? A genius doesn't just know a bunch of information, they're able to create new things with that information. That's creativity, that's intuition, right? The feminine supercharges the masculine. And the same way in a relationship, a woman supports the man, right? So within your own psyche, you think of those feminine traits and those masculine traits. Those feminine traits supercharge those masculine traits. So, in order to reclaim this image, just the easiest thing. If you're thinking of a girl like, oh, she's so special, these are things I want, what do you want in her? What special things, what feelings does she give you? Right? Write those out. And, think past, oh, she has a big butt, she has big boobs, oh my god. Now, go past that. Even those things are like symbolic representations of things you want. For instance, if you like big titties, I mean, I like big titties, but if you like titties, then, that might relate to you having a mother complex, because, titties are the nurturing, food. I feel bad for everyone who wasn't breastfed. It must suck. In any case, so, you're taking those traits, and you're trying to find them and spur them within yourself, okay? Not going to get too advanced. That's for the Discord, that's for the more advanced live streams, that's for the course I'm working on, that's going to be free. Okay, it's going to be on YouTube. Then, I know people are asking for it. I've been working on it for months. I swear it's coming. Okay, in any case. So, let's say now you have those traits and now you integrate them within yourself. You're no longer going to project them. So when you see a woman, you're going to see them for what you are. And I saw this one dude leave a comment on this video that I forgot. I think it might have been from that guy who says, be retarded. He said, when you could see an attractive woman as just a woman, that's when you can do well. And that's so true. It's because you're no longer putting them on a pedestal. And now you're actually seeing them for what there are. You can actually make rational decisions. This also prevents you guys from making these very poor decisions with women, because we're not going to say that we want an ugly wife, right? We're going to say we want an attractive wife. But that's not all. We want an attractive wife with a good personality, a little sweetheart, And when you're in the state of projection, this woman, she has like a nice shape, she's pretty, you kind of just zombie walk in there, you like Samson, you kind of, with Delilah, you go in there, you lull to sleep, you feel comfortable, and then bam, something bad happens. And that something bad happening could be you realizing that you wasted all your time with this girl that's not a good one, right? She gives all these red flags, and you're just like, no, red flags, I don't care. You might even acknowledge, because people I've been worked with. And I've had girlfriends, or had girlfriends while I was talking to them, and there would be these super obvious red flags, but they would stay in there. Why? This projection, right? This feeling, because it feels like they're completing themselves through that person. So I'm saying, you have to do that first process, so in that second process, you can actually approach them properly. Now, this video isn't necessarily about how to approach women or deal with women, because one, I mean, I have a lot of posts on my Discord about that, right? And I want to keep this video simple, but also because it's not that hard. Okay, I know it seems like rocket science when you're first starting, but it's really not that hard. Okay, just relax, have fun. All right. So in any case, this is the real reason why Christian men struggle with women. Sure, you never thought about that. It's very useful, and that will change your life if you apply it. All right. And if you want further inquiry, of course, you can join the Discord. As of right now, things have gone too crazy, so if you want to send me a message over there, I'll be able to respond. Okay, 3 left. That one was better. And a bit of some water and this is the truth about becoming a Christian, especially as a man, that no one tells you. So, you see a lot of these modern Christian churches going like, oh, being a Christian means so awesome. I mean, hooray, ha-yahoo. Let's play a game. Let's play the rock band music, and yeah. But it's not like that, okay? Being Christian, I want to clarify this, is the most positive thing you could ever do in your life. Becoming a Christian is the most fulfilling thing you can do in your life. And becoming a Christian, most importantly, reunites you with the Creator and saves your soul. Okay? So, with that in mind, what truth about being a Christian man is not told? That truth is, it's hard. You're going to have to give things up, and you're going to have to change your heart. Okay? Jesus didn't say, oh, just say, oh, Jesus, I love you, and then that's it. No, Jesus said, repent. Okay? You can come. All right, you can always come. The door is always open. But you have to repent. You have to change. Right? So, a problem with a lot of these churches that are supposed to be guiding people on what they should be doing, they don't inform them to change. They don't inform them that certain things are wrong. So, this is the rise of the pride churches. Like, oh, well, you're gay, but, Jesus still loves you. And they use this idea. This is something you see very commonly in these very liberal modern churches, that they use this idea of like, oh, just be nice, be loving, etc. They use that as a mask. Okay, they put Jesus, they slap a Jesus sticker on it, so then you can't question it, because if you question it, it's like, oh, well, that's not Christ-like. That's what they do. And people observe that sticker being used, just slapped onto anything, and they're like, well, I guess this is what being a Christian's like. So then they, for all intents and purposes, cut their balls off and just like, hey, how's everyone doing? Oh, is being homosexual wrong? Yeah, so, people can do whatever they want. I mean, that's none of my business. I mean, I'm a loving person. I'm not. This is what we're dealing with. This is what people are being taught. So, becoming a Christian is going to require you to get a pair of balls to defend the Christian faith. Not with force, but with spirit. Right? Have the spirit. Okay? If you want an example, it's a bit crude, but it's true. Okay? A lot of these Christian men, they talk like they have erectile dysfunction. Okay? You need to talk like you have erectile function. But this is actually something more advanced. This is something from both the Eastern and Western traditions, more ancient Christianity. And it's this idea that Eros, which is like love, but it's like the highest form of love, so it includes like sexual energy. That Eros can be transmuted not only towards your ideas and trying to achieve your goals, but also God. So, for instance, there was the ecstasy of Saint Mother Teresa. I'm not a Catholic, but I think this is a good example, where she channeled this Eros energy towards God. It's like loving for God. It's longing for God. Right? And that is something that's very important. Okay? That's another thing. It's kind of a side note. It's kind of off topic for this video. But the point is that a lot of these people take this energy that was once... Because, take an example like this. There's a lot of people that, kind of lived as degenerates when they're younger. Maybe they smoked a lot, drank a lot, did things that are kind of wrong. And then they're like, well, I'm going to become a Christian now. And they're told these things, and they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this energy that I had. I'm just going to go suppress it. And that's the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is take this energy, right? Recognize it, embrace it, and then see what's the right thing to do. Purify that energy, because that's the whole point. Jesus didn't come to erase humanity. He came to purify humanity. So you're trying to purify this energy so you can then move it towards what's right and what's good. That is the process you're supposed to be going through. And to do that, you must understand what you're up against. You must understand what is right and what is wrong. All right, so I think what's to do? Always be on the lookout. Right? Always understand that there is going to be times when you are tested. Because being Christian isn't just... Sometimes it's a little stern. Sometimes it's a little tough. Sometimes you have things that come up, these desires that come up, that aren't, are wrong. You have to understand, if you're going to become a Christian, you have to deal with that. And here's the thing. This is the difference between Christianity and everything else. Suffering has purpose in Christianity. If you're an atheist, suffering is like, yeah, so basically there was this big soup, and organisms came together and had a bunch of sex, and there was these monkeys and they had sex, and and then humans came, and when people suffer, it's just to create new life. So your suffering has no meaning, your love for your mom isn't real, and the earth just made itself. Same with the universe. And Freemasons are great people, all that stuff, right? There's no meaning in suffering. Okay, suffering is just the way the world goes, but suffering has meaning in Christianity because God himself suffered. He suffered for our own sake. So when we suffer, we know this has a purpose. This has meaning. We're suffering for a reason, and that reason's greater. So when Jesus died and suffered, it seemed like a big tragedy, it seemed like a big failure. But when he resurrected, when he was born again, right, in the sense of him coming back to life, that gave it meaning. And that gave your suffering meaning. So, yeah, it's hard, but there's beauty in the struggle. Okay, there's meaning in it, because after that suffering, the light at the end of the tunnel, which is not only in the afterlife, but it's also in this life. Because when you struggle and go through something difficult, and you know you did the right thing, afterwards, there's a good feeling there. So always remember, it's not the suffering and the hardships, they aren't just frowny faces and, anger. There's beauty to it. Embrace that. So, is being Christian great? Is being Christian the best thing you can do? Of course. But it's going to be hard. But even those hard things lead to the great things. Okay. 2 more. Alright, so let's move on to the next one, which would be... Actually, let's switch the order of these around, because I feel like I'm repeating myself too much. This is why Christian men aren't attractive. And you can think of this as a sequel to my video that's doing very well about why Christian women don't like Christian men. There seemed to be a small misunderstanding amongst a minority of commenters that needs to be understood, okay? If you are not attractive to women as a Christian man, there's a problem there. And when I say that, everyone's like, oh, you're like a red pillar. That's what red pillars say. We're focused on Jesus, not on these girls. And I have problems with red pill, and you should be focused on Jesus instead of girls. But here's the thing. Here's what you have to understand. If women don't find you attractive, that is an effect, that is a side effect of doing the wrong thing. And that wrong thing is not taking care of yourself and not being a man as the Bible teaches. So, let's think about it. What do women find attractive? Let's talk about the psychological and the physical aspects. Psychologically, women like a man that's, strong, gritty, doesn't really care what other people think, fights for his ideas. He's like this. Okay? He's like erectile function, not erectile dysfunction. Okay, no woman likes a flappy, sloppy, you-know-what. Like a big, strong one. That's attitude. Right? It's a psychological aspect. And they also love the fatherly aspect of, okay, he's a big, strong man, but, he can cuddle me at night. That's what women like. Christian men can do all the cuddling they want because they're like, oh. and they're fat, so it's, they have extra insulation. A lot of them are fat. Talk more about that later, but in any case, the Bible calls you to be that first way. Okay? So, think about it. So you understand, just so you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. If you are biblically following the model, okay, psychologically, you're supposed to be strong, right? You're supposed to also have this, soft and nurturing side as well. You have to be able to do both. If you have that, as the Bible teaches you, then women will find you attractive psychologically. Talk more about the physical aspect after. So see, if women don't like you, that means you don't have this. If you don't have this, you're not following the Bible. That's the argument I'm making. That's the point I'm making. Now, with that being said, a lot of these Christian men are way too nice, way too soft. They don't stand up strong. And stand up strong, like Paul said, be strong like men. You have to be strong in your ideals. You have to be strong in your faith. Okay? And that translates to your life as well. If you're strong in your faith, you're going to be strong in, let's say, you have an idea, you have a purpose, you have a business you're trying to do. You're going to strive for it. You're going to be strong in it because that's who you are. Okay? That's who you are through Christ, through the purification that comes with being a Christian. Physically, let's get to the physical. A lot of Christian men are out of shape. Again, let's correlate this. If the Bible says, take care of your temple. What is taking care of your temple? Working out, getting some muscles, okay? Whatever word you want to use, cardio, eating a good diet, not being fat, so on and so forth. The Bible tells you about all that. So if you're physically attractive, right, and what physical attraction is made up of those things, also with your face, you should be grooming yourself, you should be taking care of yourself, presentable, looking presentable. The Bible calls you to do those things. Okay, you're doing them. Now women find you attractive. If women don't find you attractive, that means you're not doing this. Okay? Again, that's the point I'm making. So, if there's too many fat Christians, okay, I'm just going to be straight up. Doesn't sound nice, it sounds mean, but someone has to say it, okay? If you're a Christian, you're fat, there's a big problem there. And we all have our problems. I mean, I used to be an S3 gooner, but, something to work on, something to acknowledge, something to be worked on. And by the way, if you are fat, I'll give you like a practical piece of advice. If you're fat, it's not like, oh, you're eating too much. Although, as much as I want to say, hey, fatty, go for a walk, that's not really practical. Because you know that. Everyone who's fat understands they eat too much and don't exercise enough. The problem is a psychological barrier. Being fat is not a physical problem, it's a psychological problem. And that's, same thing goes with being scrawny. Being like stick. Being skinny. It's a problem there as well. And the other point I want to make with this video is we have to remember we are representatives of Christianity, right? Because people look at us and go like, okay, well, that person's a Christian, right? You have to set a good example for not only the non-Christians, but also the youth that are coming up that are learning how to be Christian, right? If you're fat and you're, kind of weak psychologically, what example are you? Right? And I don't want you to think that I'm telling you to be like a salesman for Christianity. That's not what I'm saying, right? When I say this next thing. What I'm saying is that people should be able to look at you and go like, you know what? Being a Christian, that must mean something, because all these Christian men I see, they're always so strong and, they always are on their purpose. And while all these atheists, they always seem like, just depressed and have these problems. Maybe there is something to Christianity. And then they start thinking about it. Again, don't be like salesmen. Okay, we're not selling Christianity. What we're doing is we're fulfilling our Christian purpose. And by that measure, by doing that, we become good examples for the people that aren't Christian, for the people that are wanting to become Christian. Because I want you to think about this. This is what I'll leave you on. Think about a leader. Think about someone who's strong, a leader, someone people want to follow. Do you think of a fat dude, or do you think of a strong guy who women would find attractive? That'll be your takeaway. Okay, one more. You may think there's a lot of overlap in these videos, and there is. That's because I'm recording YouTube videos, not trying to make one coherent thing that's useful. You understand is that when you are like running a business or whatever, it's the same thing with my business that I run. That isn't this. What works, works. So just keep going until it doesn't work. And then change it. Don't change it before it doesn't work. Or it shows obvious signs it won't work. So what I'm doing right now. I noticed that the YouTube videos I'm doing well are going at a specific angle. So I'm going at the angle, but I'm going at the subject, but from a different angle, right? Trying to make slightly different points in each one, but there is going to be some overlap. And eventually, over time, once the audience gets big enough, I'll be able to diversify more and get more into that. But that's the point of the Discord and the streaming. That's why I do it, or the possible future like Q&A streams. I want to do that because then I'll be able to show more advanced information and, be less repetitive. But even then, I don't think I'm being that repetitive. In any case, so. There's this good verse that I saw in someone's bio one time. It's 1 Peter 5:8. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a lion, looking for someone to devour. And that is such a good quote. That is so specific. That is so unique to the current crisis we're in right now with Christianity and the rise of nihilism, atheism, feminism, and degeneracy in general. I mean, some dude, just think of this story, okay? Think of this story I'm going to tell you. It's totally true, completely true. There was this guy who drove up to a chicken fast food place drive-through window. He was jerking off. He got recorded by the person at the window, and then he killed himself. And then people held on TikTok, literally hundreds of people in multiple different places, held gooning funerals for that person. This is the era, this is the generation, this is the time we live in where this is the case. So, being a Christian in 2025 is brutal because there are traps everywhere. Okay? There's a trap of, become an atheist because, if you're an atheist, then you're actually, a smart person. We believe the earth came from nothing, and we don't epistemically ground any of our statements. It's a subjective worldview, but it is true objectively. You have becoming a loser, which a lot of modern Christian churches are teaching, just be a nice guy. And you have the female side, which of course we're trying to get wives. Some of us are trying to become pastors or priests, in which case, I guess it depends on which branch you follow, but then you would be committed to celibacy. Maybe you want to take a monk, kind of a monk route, which is completely respectable. But for those who do want wives, which would be most of us, be Stacy is a feminist, Stacy is a Leo, Stacy is a girl boss, Stacy has these crystals and they have magical powers. Then when she sniffs it, she becomes on opium and she flies away to the faraway castle where she can be the boss lady with pink heels with a little girl suit. So that's the female archetype we're dealing with. And of course we have porn. Porn's a big trap that a lot of young men are following in, and very young. People are gooning before they learn division. People are gooning before they learn algebra. People are gooning before they can even nut. That was my case. My first nuts, nothing came out. Okay, that's how young I was. I'm 19, so not even, in the grand scheme of things, not even far removed from when that happened. I was 11 or something. And the worst part is when you're that young, you don't really understand that is wrong. Right? You kind of just see boobs and you're like, oh my god, boobs. Wow, what's happening to me? And then you learn later on it's wrong, and then you're stuck in the cycle of trying to quit. Thank God I was able to. Probably make a video next cycle about that. But in any case, the iniquities of our society, of course, brought about by humans, because we have a lot of problems as a collective society, and this collective will of humans leads to degeneracy in the world. We have to take a moment to sit down, look around, see what we're subjecting ourselves to, and go, you know what? I should be more careful with what I listen to. I should be more careful with the TikTok scrolling turning me into a retard. I should be more careful about what school's teaching me. I should be more careful about everything. Because this carefulness, this be on the lookout thing, and taking life a bit more seriously will lead you to understanding that the devil is like a lion around every other corner, right? And the way the devil works, I'll give you a very simple explanation of this. It actually goes into like, because I read a lot of books on like witchcraft and magic, just so I can understand it. Because at the end of the day, I'm an educator, if you will. So I feel like understanding this will help me understand how the world works better, and also this relates to like secret societies and whatnot. But in any case, basically, the very layman's way it works is you have the devil, Lucifer, fallen angel, Satan. Then he has his demons, and I'm not going to get into super high level stuff, but basically these demons will influence people to influence other people to doing degenerate things. So for instance, on YouTube, if you ask me a question, I can go more into this in my Discord. I don't think YouTube is going to allow me to say very specifically what it is, but just look at how degenerate music is. Look at how degenerate movies are. Look at how degenerate all this stuff is. Media, TikTok, what's promoted there, abortion, pro-life, these people funding all this stuff. Those people are like the first line of humans behind the demons. So humans, and then these humans exert influence on all the unknowing masses. So it's not like, each individual person is demonically possessed. It's more like they're listening to people that are working actively with demons. And that's sex magic, and that's stuff they wrote a bunch of books on, and these secret societies talk about and participate in. Again, I don't want to, because YouTube is very iffy on that type of thing, but, just leave it at that. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a bunch of people that are trying to influence other people into influencing us into doing things that are wrong, doing things that are bad. So always be on the lookout. Have your eye out. And always return to what's right. Have very strong moral values. Have a very strong understanding of, okay, this is right and this is wrong. So when the time does come, where something does come at you and something does tempt you, you know what is right and you can make the right decision. And even if you do slip up, you know that you're going to try to get back on the right path. You're going to try, which is the most important part, to try, to give a genuine effort with your spirits to do the right thing. Okay. That'll be all. Actually, I have my Twitch chat open. See, oh, someone was chatting on Twitch. Okay, let me, okay, yeah, excuse me, I only have my YouTube chat open. Okay, Olivia Ben, are you able to reply to me? How are you, subdude? Hey. Yeah, sorry for not responding. You can join if you're still here, you can join my Discord. I'm open to talking there. I think exclamation point Discord. I think that would work. Subdude, hey. Talk to me after the stream, message you on Insta. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you on Instagram. Why is the chat thing not scroll? Let me just open the Twitch thing. Yeah, I'll have my Twitch chat open next time. I forgot to open it. Twitch TV. Let's go here. Creator dashboard. And a stream. Cheap followers on the stream. Boo. Okay. Sure, bro. Here's your Insta. You doing? I'm doing good. Here's my Insta. Okay, yeah, I'll respond to Instagram. I think that's everyone. Right? Shouldn't leave anyone out. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, so if you messaged anything at all, I don't even know if my YouTube chat's working. If you messaged anything at all, just join my Discord. You can also DM me on Instagram, I suppose, and I'll get back to you on there. In any case, that'll be all. You'll see this clipped up and then posted into 6 YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. I'll be live next time on Friday. If you guys want to do like Q&A streams where you just ask me questions and I work with you on stuff, with active chat and whatnot, just let me know. Okay, if I get like 20 people saying, hey, I would like to do that, I'll go, you know what, okay, we're going to do a specific stream dedicated to that. Because again, this is more of a show format. I'm getting my YouTube videos, trying to respond to stuff in between videos. And so, in that case, it's not really the best format for that. So, yeah. And, of course, Discord, I respond to everything on there. And I guess you can DM me on Instagram. I'm saving my Instagram for, like, when I get, like, 2,000 subscribers. I want to do, like, stories, responding to stuff. That'll be cool. But in any case, Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.